Hi, everybody. I'm just getting set up now. Thanks for tuning in to my live stream as usual, if there's anyone watching out there. So, again, I ran out of video game magazines, so now I'm going to the world of music magazines. So, what we're looking at today is an issue of Vegas Rocks, which I actually contributed 2 articles to back in the day. This came out in 2013, so this is 12 years old now. Vegas Rocks was a Vegas-based music magazine that was around. I think they started in 2005, so that's the 20-year anniversary right there. Hey there, how are you doing? How are things with you? How are you feeling? How was your show last night? That's a lot to take in. Show last night was great and feeling okay. So anyway, Vegas Rocks was a magazine started by Sally Steele here in Vegas. A lot of people in the scene who are photographers or writers at some point were a part of this magazine, and I contributed articles for about 2.5 years, and I eventually went on to write for a site called Z-Rocker, and that's for the most part where I've been ever since. So we'll go ahead and crack this issue open and see what we got in here. Here's the front cover. The two cover stories, this talks about, rating the Rock Vault, which is a classic rock tribute show, and then also Viva Hysteria, which was the Def Leppard residency, which they eventually made a live home video release of. You can see that Rating the Rock Vault cast right there. Now, that show has changed venues and lineups many times. Michael T. Ross, the keyboard player, he's the only one that's still in that show from when it started. The back cover, here's an ad for Vamped. To this day, that's still where I go for most of my shows. Bang Tango right there. Joe Lestea, their singer, had a stroke a few months ago. I hope he's doing okay. LA Guns, their lineup has changed quite a bit because Tracy Guns is back in the band, and classic drummer Steve Riley has since passed away. Lizzie Borden, that's a band that always does amazing live shows. I just saw them a few months ago. And then you got Danny the Count, the guy that owns Vamped right there. And if you've had the opportunity to go to Vamped or meet Danny, he's a great guy. He's exactly the same as in real life as he's on TV, so definitely recommended there. So inside the front cover here, we've got ads for Station Casinos concerts and Hard Rock Cafe concerts. There's an ad here for a Great White concert. That's the version of the band with Mark Kendall. At the time, they had Terry Ilias from XYZ as their singer. I went to and reviewed that concert. And then more stuff on this side. Sin City Sinners, I used to go see almost every week. That was the band that Brent Muscat from Faster Pussycat put together when he moved out here. And they had a lot of all-stars and special guests. And Brent's still making music with a band called Saints of Las Vegas, so I'm glad to see he's at least somewhat still active. And here's an ad for a Slaughter concert at the South Point. I can't remember if I went to that one or not. And then there's Sally Steele, who put together the magazine. Always did one of these articles at the beginning, just talking about some of the people that she's met and known. Sammy Hagar is there. Who else is here? Frankie Bonelli from Quiet Riot. Sadly, he died a few years ago. Great guy. I met him several times. Then down here, Z Maddox and Rob McCauley, both of whom were in Rating the Rock Vault back in the day. And who else is here? More of the Rock Vault cast there, and they got him Tony West down in the bottom corner. I'm not sure who he is. There's a table of contents here. A venue called Bar 702. I don't even know if that's still in existence. Got a Spring Mountain address. There's a venue on Spring Mountain called the Sand Dollar. They talk about that here. I don't know if that's the same venue or not. And then they had this stage show, Rock of Ages, playing over at the Venetian. Again, that's long since ended. The Venetian's still there, but they don't have that show. They actually had a Bourbon Room club area to commemorate the show playing there, where they did some stuff back in the day as well. That's obviously not there anymore. There's a Rock Flash article here. The death of 10 years after's Alvin Lee is mentioned here. Brett Michaels talking about being fired on Celebrity Apprentice. The Lamb of God, Randy Blythe trial, they talk about. Alice Cooper donating money to pet charities. And then there's something here about, Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath. Geezer Butler actually lives out here in Vegas now. I did meet him one time when Eddie Trunk was interviewing him over at the SiriusXM studio in the Win. Over here is an ad for Raiding the Rock Vault, like right after it just started. The original cast had people like Tracy Guns from LA Guns, Jay Shellen, who used to be in Yes in Asia, Paul Shortino, who was in Quiet Riot, Rough Cuts, King Cobra. Interesting trivia if you're a video gamer. Paul Shortino actually sang the Eggman song in Sonic Adventure 2. And then, who else is here? I mean, yeah, Howard Leese, who was in Heart, the longest serving member of the band after the Wilson sisters. Rob McCauley from McCauley Schenker Group. Yeah, Studio Palms. I guess this is a studio they had over at the Palms Hotel Casino. And my throat is a little scratchy today, so if I have to pause and take a few drinks, my apologies. Rocklands in Vegas. These are just sort of some blurbs of things that were going on. Bottom corner, there's a picture with some guys, and one of the guys in that picture is... who all is in this picture? Yeah, Vinnie Paul, formerly of Pantera, is there. He died a few years ago, but he was living out here. Interesting trivia. He was from Texas, but was living out here. So even though he's buried in Texas, if you go look at his grave, it's actually got the Golden Knights logo on the headstone. And you got guys like Jeff Tate and Kip Winger, and then DJ Ashba. DJ Ashba, formerly of Guns N' Roses and 6 a.m., he lives out here in Vegas. There's an ad here for the Cheyenne Saloon. That venue is no longer there. They changed the name to Adrenaline, but that didn't last long, and the place is now shut down. I think it's just pretty much an empty suite in that center now. There's an ad for... There's an article I wrote here for the Def Leppard Viva Hysteria residents. One thing I liked about that gig is they actually dress up like a Def Leppard tribute band and pretend to be Americans for the first portion of the show. Play a mixture of hits and deep cuts. I love Def Leppard. They got an ad about Sammy Hagar and the Rock Fantasy Camp. Got a picture of him with Eddie Trunk down there. Grand opening of the Fremont Country Club. They got a picture of Vern Troyer, the actor that played Mini-Me in Austin Powers. He's since died as well. Kiss Expo at Kiss Monster Mini Golf. I was at that event because I put out a self-published book and I was selling some copies there. And then there's a Def Leppard display dedication. Yeah, if you look at this display right there, that's Bob Kulick, the brother of Bruce Kulick from Kiss. Bob was living out here for many, many years. Unfortunately, he died back in 2020. Man, it's crazy going through this issue. It's been so long, a lot of these people are no longer with us, and that's a damn shame. I always loved Bob, very good guy. I remember I was at that event, like I said, selling copies of my self-published book, and my mother let him borrow Sunblock. And yeah, Mick Campese, who was an old roadie for Kiss, he was there too. He actually died just a few months after this happened. And then Ken Kelly was there as well, who did the album cover art back in the day. He's dead too. I mean, I hate to be morbid, but that's the way it is. There's a Vegas disc thing here, I guess a company that makes DVDs. A review for The Devil Wears Prada and As I Lay Dying. And next to that, there's an ad, not an ad, but an article. There's an article here for Anthrax, and they played at House of Blues. House of Blues, the Vegas location's at Mandalay Bay. Unfortunately, all the strip casinos charge for parking now, so it's kind of a pain just to go to any of those. They got a headline called The Asylum. And there's just, some other Fremont Country Club stuff here. Escape the Fate, Alkaline Trio, even Hanson. Yeah, it's interesting. Hanson, of course, started out as that pop band with the long-haired boys in the late 90s. They had that song Bop that you just couldn't get away from. But they kept making music. I haven't really listened to any of their more recent music, but I guess they've become a little more mature musically. I'll have to see what they've been up to over the last few years. There's one that Sally Steele wrote here for Pat Benatar. Gotta love Pat Benatar, one of the greatest girl rockers. One here for a band called Blacklist Union. I'm not familiar with them. And then over here, there's an ad for the Vans Warped Tour. I don't know if they still do that or not, but the Warped Tour was a really big deal for a lot of years. And here's an ad for a Bon Jovi tribute band called John Bovey. There's an ad for Aces High, the Iron Maiden tribute band. They're actually still around, although only the guitar player is the same. A guy named Chris, great guy. I've known him for years. Children of the Damned, another Iron Maiden tribute band. Their singer, Robert Hussey, sings in an Iron Maiden tribute band now called Flight 666. And then his other band, Cyanide, is down here too. Yeah, Las Vegas Kiss. There was a Las Vegas Kiss and a Sin City Kiss. They're both promoted in here. Sadly, Luis Reyes, the guy who played Gene in Sin City Kiss, has died since then too. And now he's actually... They got another guy, and they perform under the name Generation Kiss now. A few other minor lineup changes, too. Yeah, Black Box 13, that was a great local band that sadly is no longer around. Although their drummer Todd plays a lot of bands out here. And their singer Joshua Allen sang for the Sin City Sinners for a while. He had some medical problems. I really hope he's okay. Heart Alive rocks the Hard Rock Cafe. So this is a Heart tribute band. And this article is also written by Sally Steele. On the other side, Backstage Bar and Billiards, that place is still there. Skinny Lister and the Stone Foxes. I don't know either of those bands. I don't know if those are local or like national touring bands. As up and up as I am on the music scene, I can't remember every single thing. They have an article here that has some CD reviews by Jamie Hudson. He was like one of the best writers they had. Jamie actually was in a rock and roll trivia contest with me, and he did pretty good. So there's a Bon Jovi album, Hardcore Superstar, Bring Me the Horizon. And over here there's an ad for a festival called Viva Ska Vegas. And here's the article that I wrote for rating the Rock Vaults when it first opened up. The original version of the show actually had some like acting skits and things like that. The current version of the show they have is a little more streamlined. They still have like dancing girls that accompany the band on some songs, but here they had like, in one case, they had an actor portraying a guy through various years of history. Like he's a hippie, then he joins the military to protect his country, then he comes back and his roommate gets into this guy. I'm not going to get into all that here, but it's interesting stuff. You can see the cast and a lot of the people. When they did the opening night, Bobby Kimball, the old singer from Toto, was their special guest. They had a lot of special guests when they were doing that show. They had Mickey Thomas from Starship at one point. They had Lou Gramm from Foreigner. I actually got to meet Lou Gramm from Foreigner. That was really cool. They had Joe Lynn Turner from Rainbow at one point. And then they've had revolving door lineups of people ever since. So here, the Sand Dollar Lounge becomes Bar 702, and I don't know if that's still there or not. Yeah, someone named Foxy Roxy who did articles here. An ad for the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. Some of the people they have here, Alice Cooper, Mike Portnoy, Sammy Hagar, even Roger Daltrey and Dave Navarro. Now, the Fantasy Camp, they no longer have that in Vegas as far as I know. I remember I actually won a 90-minute session for the Fantasy Camp, and I went over there to check it out before I did my thing, and me and this guy in the parking lot damn near backed into each other, and I think it was actually Kip Winger. So I almost got into a car accident with Kip Winger. There's my little rock star story. Yeah, but I remember like Kane Roberts from Alice Cooper's band was there as well. Yeah, Bob Rocks the 80s. So yeah, Bob FM, the radio station. I guess they sponsored an 80s band concert here. Then on the other side, they have a list of locations where you can pick up Vegas Rocks. The magazine is no longer being made. Vegas Rocks still exists as a website that has periodic updates from Sally, but it's not actually a physical magazine anymore. And they got a pretty cool picture of Joe Elliott from Def Leppard with one of the magazines. Here's some more random blurbs and reviews. There's a bass and drum clinic, a Volbeat concert blurb here. When I was working at Kiss Mini Golf right across the street from the Hard Rock, one of the guys from Volbeat came in the gift shop one day. I had no idea who he was at the time. I just know there was this guy who was really interested in the musical instruments and had a pretty thick foreign accent. It wasn't until I saw pictures online later that night that I knew who that guy was. Yeah, Anti-Flag, punk rock group, Crash Diet, Flyleaf. They got, Sally Steele would always do these memory articles from her time back in the day. There's a pretty big one here. They got an ad for the Brendan Theaters in the Palms, advertising the movies Oblivion and Pain and Gain. I can't say that I've seen either of those, despite being a movie reviewer. Although this was like 5 years before I got onto the press list, so that's understandable. Got a club calendar that has lists of concert dates. There's a concert calendar over here that tells you what bands are going to be where. I mean, they got groups on here like Heart, Garbage, Queensryche, Bon Jovi, Dropkick Murphys, Danzig. I'm guessing that's supposed to be Danzig. They got an ad for Frank Domino, the old singer from Angel. He was working as a vocal coach for a while. Don't know if he's still doing that or not. Something called TK Productions. There's a Vegas Rocks classified section for musicians who wanted to hook up. And each issue would always have a review of like what all went on at Vamped that month. Usually I would do that article, but this month I guess they let this Maria Scholes do it because I did the other two stories. Yep. See if there's any familiar faces in any of these pictures here. Because sometimes some of the photos of me with rock stars would show up in here. Let's see, yeah. Yeah, not really seeing any of me down here, but if you look on the bottom there, you can see Jizzy Pearl, the old singer of Love Hate. He's also the singer of Quiet Riot now. And the lady next to him is Corey Coker. That's Danny the Count's wife. Again, I've known her for years because I've been going out there forever. And actually, the very first time I went in Vamped, it was still called Feel Goods because Vince Neil was either the owner or part owner. And that's why when you walk into that venue, one of the first things you see is a giant Dr. Feelgood symbol. Here's an ad for Comp 92.3, the local rock station. And there's a Great Vegas Festival of Beer being promoted on this side. Not sure if I know who any of these DJs are off the top of my head. Doesn't give any specifics. Yeah, there's a guy named Big Mex who used to be on the radio who I was pretty friendly with for a while. And then again on the back, there's that Vamped ad. See if anything here jumps out at me. Yeah, Stoney Curtis, Lust of Kiss. So even Stoney was doing a Kiss tribute sometime there for a while. Because he got a guy named Johnny Lust he hooked up with, but when Johnny Lust quit the band or was fired, depending on who you asked, they still continued to call it Lust of Kiss, oddly enough. Stoney is still active. He plays in Danny the Count's band as well, Count 77, and he does his own thing. Amazing guitar player. If you have a chance to see him, don't pass it up. Yeah, Gilby Clarke was playing the venue, former GNR guitarist. Jason Froberg birthday bash. Jason Froberg was the guy that did the sound mixing at Vamped. He's been gone from there for a while. Anyway, that's the end of that issue of Vegas Rocks. These are shorter magazines than what I've been reading, but I can input more because I have experience on the scene, obviously. So next week, we'll do another Vegas Rocks live stream. I got this issue 1 year later. This has Count 77 on the cover, who at the time had just put out their CD. And on the back there, another ad for Vamp. No specific shows listed this time, but that about does it for this live stream. Anyone tuned in? Any parting shots? Anything you want to say before I log off for the week? Okay, I don't even know if anyone's actually watching right now, but those of you that did tune in, my thanks to you. And I will see you next week. Again, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. I'm always posting new videos, typically unboxings and reviews for home video titles and the occasional music stuff as well. Every now and then, I might even do a toy review. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in and for all your support. This has been Taylor T. Carlson. I'll see you on my live stream next Saturday.